He doesn't seem to have amnesia or anything. He seems to be very aware of where he is. What the hell's going on? Why is he fighting us? Jeez. You're a dick, Shadow. You're a dick. This is very similar to the Metal Sonic encounter. We have to face off with Shadow in order to get a Chaos Emerald, and we face off with Shadow in both the 3DS and the console version. The 3DS encounter is very similar to the Metal Sonic race. In fact, it's exactly similar to the Metal Sonic race. We have to get to the goal ring before Shadow does, and he has a whole bunch of tricks up his sleeve. Like that, his Chaos Boost, where he gets a big burst of speed, and we have to jump over it so that we don't get damaged and stuff. Hey, what do you know? The Sonic Adventure 2 multiplayer is canon. We're racing Shadow on Radical Highway, just like the multiplayer. How about that? The metagame with this race is that you want to collect a whole bunch of rings so that you get your boost energy, right? And boosting also attracts rings to you, so if you boost around a set of rings, they'll flow into you, which is always important to remember. Sometimes you need to jump into rings to get more boost and gauge energy, and that will actually help with shortcuts and stuff. And, yeah, because if you're not boosting, you really can't beat Shadow. He doesn't really have too many dangerous attacks. He actually feels a lot slower than Metal Sonic did. You can actually see his attacks coming from like a mile away. But, yeah, it's just about maintaining your boost gauge by constantly running into rings, and you'll beat him no problem. Not really all that challenging. I actually think the Metal Sonic encounter in Casino Night is actually a harder race. So, ultimate life for my ass. But that was the 3DS version. The console battle is something special. That was awesome. They recreated the intro for the GameCube version of Sonic Adventure 2 Battle, where Sonic and Shadow are running along Radical Highway, and then they jump towards each other with the moon in the background. Oh, that's a great recreation of that cutscene, and the moon is blown up. Takashi Iizuka specifically stated that the good side of the moon is facing us in this cutscene. The bad side is not facing the Space Colony arc. But either way, folks, this is the battle. It is kind of a race with Shadow in the console version too, but we're not racing towards a goal. We're racing towards that pink energy orb that I just picked up right now. You'll notice in the top left and top right, we actually have energy containers, 2 slots that we can get energy into. They start off black at first, but once you've picked up an energy orb, one space gets filled green. If you get your spaces filled green completely, you get the ability to do some special super ultra attack that will help you win the fight. And Shadow can get this as well, so that's why you definitely want to race him to it, and you want to constantly hammer the boost button, not just hold on to it. I find actually multiple tapping the boost button helps you get a bit burst of speed to actually get closer to the energy orb before he does. But if he does get it, oh god! Shadow shoots a whole bunch of Chaos Spears, which you'll need to sidestep out of the way to dodge. And he also has one final attack at the very end. Whoosh! He'll send it right at your face, so you'll need to sidestep. The great thing about when Shadow gets his special power-up is that All Hail Shadow from Sonic 06 kicks in. But when we pick it up, we get the ability to defeat Shadow for good. What happens is we have a whole bunch of asteroids on the pathway, and we want to sidestep into those asteroids so that the chunks will run into Shadow, and he will slow down. The objective is to drain Shadow of all of his rings and deliver one final attack with his rings gone. You can't really do that while you're racing him. He's constantly boosting. There's no way to homing attack him, right? But once you get all the energy orbs, you can boost right behind Shadow, drain his rings, and kick his ass. So good. And when Sonic gets his ultimate power, that was obviously the Live and Learn theme song from Sonic Adventure 2, the big main theme, the big climactic. Yeah. Alrighty, folks, we're taking on Perfect Chaos, the final boss of Sonic Adventure, and it plays very much different from how it did in the original Sonic Adventure. For one thing, we're not Super Sonic. For another, it plays like a 2D level, really. We're going through all of this platforming so that we can eventually make it to Chaos, and then we want to boost inside of him so that we go all the way up into his head and damage him, sort of like the original fight. But, this level is very reminiscent of the Dark Gaia phases from Sonic Unleashed, at least the first phases where you had to rush to his eyeballs and homing attack them a lot. Only the good news is there's no time limit, and the level design is a hell of a lot better, so it's not a crap experience to play. I don't care what anyone says, the final boss of this game is not as bad as the final boss of Sonic Unleashed. I hate Dark Gaia so much, but I digress. Perfect Chaos, you know, it's mostly a level. You're basically following the platforming, getting to Chaos, and delivering the coup de grace. You just have to watch out for his water tentacles, because they'll appear in the background ready to hammer you, or hammer the cars that you're facing. You can fall into the water. Like, sometimes the water is just shallow enough that you can run along it, but there are a whole bunch of deep water pools that Sonic will fall in, and he will die, because there's no bottom. So you need to boost along the water to run along it, just like it's Atabat or Seaside Hill. You don't need the full boost bar when you get into Chaos. Like, I actually let go of the boost button as soon as Sonic gets into him. It's not like Sonic Adventure 1, where if you didn't have enough momentum or speed going into Chaos, he shot you right back out. You just have to enter him, and Sonic will automatically go to his head, so it's actually a lot easier than the original game. But we don't want to fall here. Don't want to fall here. I like that they actually transitioned to the second part of the Perfect Chaos boss theme, where at first it's open your heart, and then it gets to the more serious part when we're at the final phase, and yeah. But yeah, just don't fall. Watch out for the water tentacles. Keep aiming for those springs, and homing attack this guy one last time. It's Chaos, the god of destruction! Well, not no more. So that was kind of fun. That was awesome. Nice to see Perfect Chaos again. But the 3DS's boss gate is different from the consoles. We don't fight Chaos in the 3DS version. Instead, we fight the Bio-Lizard, the final boss of Sonic Adventure 2, the prototype of the ultimate life form, which looks nothing like a hedgehog who could do chaos control, but it does look like a weird salamander lizard thing that could do chaos control. And this boss fight is actually pretty close, pretty identical to the original fight from Sonic Adventure 2. One great thing about the redesign, though, the arena you're fighting the Bio-Lizard in is no longer shaped like a Pokeball. What I mean by that is, in the original Sonic Adventure 2, the circle that you were fighting the Bio-Lizard in had these open pathways for the current, for the water that's flowing for the Master Emerald Shrine. If you fell into the side with the Master Emerald Shrine, you were fine. You could jump out of it no problem. But if you fell into the pool that was closer to the entrance, it would actually wash Shadow away and out of the boss fight. Like, it counted as an instant kill if you fell in there and you let it carry you out to the entrance. Because apparently, Shadow can't just hop out from the side and come back to the fight. That was it for Shadow. But no such thing in this boss fight. We're obviously Sonic. I don't know why Shadow's not fighting this thing. I guess he's been hurled through time and space, so he's not here anymore. But you gotta figure that Sonic and Shadow have the same abilities. Hell, Sonic had a bounce bracelet. Shadow didn't have a bounce bracelet. Sonic should be able to handle this no problem. And now we're putting that to the test. BioLizard still chases you with his head and his tail. You don't want to go too far because you don't want to run into any of his body parts. That's why I'm not really boosting when I run away from this guy. He still shoots his energy orbs, which you either have to jump over or duck under. And ducking is the same button as sliding, which is the A button, if I remember correctly. And, yeah. I just like to collect rings. You know, I boost when I come to a bunch of rings because they flow into Sonic that way. When the BioLizard is tired, his rail starts glowing, and you can just boost into BioLizard's face to immediately start grinding it. You don't need to homing attack it or anything. You don't have to worry about contact damage from BioLizard's mouth. But it's the same principle, you know? You're still watching out for the tails, you're still dodging the orbs, still grinding that rail to get to his core, and you're also having to homing attack these pink bubbles, just like we did in the Sonic Adventure 2 fight, although it's a hell of a lot easier here, because it goes into 2D mode, and then you're just going from left to right, homing attacking this stairway-like bubble pattern. In the original 3D game, you know, Sonic Adventure 2, there was a whole bunch of bubbles scattered all over the place. Scattered all over the place, I should say. And, you know, it's just a lot more to homing attack, is basically what I'm saying. This fight is definitely a lot easier than the original BioLizard fight, but I think it's pretty faithful to the fight. I think this is actually a pretty good update to what the fight was all about, and I actually like that this is so close to the original fight, because the original BioLizard fight, I remember when I was a kid, it gave me so much trouble. Like, Perfect Chaos? Nah. I think I died to him once, and then the second try, I beat him no problem. BioLizard took me an hour the first time I ever played Sonic Adventure 2. Keeping in mind, I got the game in 2001, 2002. I must have been 12, 13 years old at the time, but it gave me trouble, man. It gave me trouble. In the final hit, the final phase, you start floating, just like the actual Sonic Adventure 2 fight, and you have to use the control stick to guide Sonic, but of course, you hit the bubbles, your rings will scatter, and they'll drop downwards immediately. You won't be able to pick up those rings again, so be careful, but it's pretty easy. Just guide Sonic through that pathway, homing attack at the very end, and that is it for the BioLizard. Well, until Sonic and Shadow have to turn super form and fight it in outer space later. But that was a fantastic recreation. It's nice being back in this room, even though the arena